The first sign something was wrong came from my property manager. "Ms. Reeves, I need to speak with you urgently," Thomas said, his usually calm voice tight with concern. "There was a couple at the Greenwich estate today. With a real estate broker. They were measuring rooms and discussing renovations." I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been reviewing quarterly reports for my investment portfolio. "What? I didn't authorize any showings." That's what I told them. But the broker, a woman named Patricia Walsh, showed me a listing agreement. It had your father's signature authorizing her to sell the property for $8.5 million. My stomach dropped. My father doesn't own that property. I do. I'm aware, ma'am. That's why I'm calling. The Greenwich estate. A 12,000 square foot mansion on 6 acres in Connecticut's most exclusive enclave. I'd purchased it 3 years ago for $7.2 million, paid in cash as a weekend retreat and investment property. My family knew I owned a house in Connecticut. They didn't know the details, the size, the value, or the fact that I held the title in my name alone. Apparently, they'd decided those details didn't matter. "Send me photos of everything," I said. "The broker's card, the listing agreement, anything they left behind. And Thomas? Don't let anyone else in without my explicit written permission." "Already done, ma'am. I've also contacted estate security. No one gets past the gate without your approval." I hung up and immediately called my attorney. "Richard, my family is trying to sell my house." "Which property?" "Greenwich. The estate. My father apparently forged listing documents claiming he has authority to sell." Silence. "Then, that's fraud, Maya. Serious fraud." "I know. What do I do?" "First, I'll contact this broker and inform her the listing is fraudulent. Second, I'll send cease and desist letters to everyone involved. Third, we document everything for potential criminal charges." "Criminal charges against my own father?" "He's attempting to sell property he doesn't own by forging documents. That's fraud and forgery. The fact that he's your father doesn't change the law." I closed my eyes. "Do what needs to be done." "Maya, how did this happen? How did your father get access to forged listing documents?" "He must have found property information at my parents' house. I keep some documents there in a safe. Old tax records, that kind of thing. He probably saw the Greenwich deed and decided to help himself. Why would he think he could sell your property?" I hesitated. "My family doesn't know I own it outright. They think I'm renting. They think I'm barely making it financially. You're worth $340 million. They don't know that either." Richard was quiet for a long moment. "This is going to get complicated." It got complicated fast. The next morning my mother called. "Maya, darling, we need to talk about the Connecticut house." "What about it?" "Well, your father and I have been discussing it and we think it's time to sell. The market is excellent right now and that property is just sitting there mostly unused. We found a lovely broker who thinks we can get $8.5 million. Can you imagine? That money could do so much good." "Good for whom?" "For the family, of course. Your brother wants to start a restaurant. Your sister needs help with her children's private school tuition. And your father and I would love to finally take that European river cruise we've been dreaming about. So you want to sell my house to fund everyone's wish list. It's not just your house, sweetheart. It's a family asset. You bought it with family money." "I bought it with my money. Money I earned from my company." "What company?" "Maya, you work in tech support or something. You don't have that kind of money. Obviously, the family must have helped with the purchase. Which means we all have a stake in it." I took a slow breath. "Mom, I need to be very clear about something. I am the sole owner of the Greenwich property. My name is on the deed. No one else's. I bought it outright in cash with money from my personal accounts. The family has zero stake in it. That's ridiculous. Nobody your age can afford an $8 million house without family help." "I can." "I did. And no one is selling it. Maya, we've already found buyers. They're very interested. The deposit is being arranged. Your father signed the listing agreement. Dad committed fraud. He doesn't own the property and has no authority to sell it. My attorney is already contacting the broker to inform her the listing is fake." Silence. "Then, you can't do this to us. We've already promised your brother." "You promised him money from selling my property without asking me? That's your problem, not mine." This is family money. Family property. It's my property. And Mom? If you and Dad don't stop this immediately, I'll press criminal charges for fraud and forgery. She gasped. You wouldn't. We're your parents. Try me. I hung up. 20 minutes later my father called. His voice was cold, controlled rage. You're going to regret this, Maya. We raised you, supported you, and this is how you repay us. By threatening us with lawyers. You tried to sell my house without permission. You forged documents. What did you expect? That house is wasted on you. You're never there. It sits empty while your brother struggles with his business dreams and your sister can barely afford her kids' education. So you decided to steal from me to help them? It's not stealing when it's family property. It's not family property. I bought it. I own it. You have no legal right to it whatsoever. Legal right? He laughed bitterly. You're really going to lawyer up against your own parents? You forged my signature and tried to commit fraud. You did this to yourselves. We did this for the family. Because that's what family does. They help each other. But you've always been selfish, Maya. Always thinking about yourself first. Selfish? I bought that property with money I earned building a company you've never even asked about. Money I made while you assumed I was failing because I didn't ask you for help. What company? You work some tech job. I own a tech company, Dad. Chin Digital Solutions. I founded it, built it, and sold controlling interest for enough money to buy 10 houses like Greenwich. I'm worth over $300 million. And you tried to steal from me without even knowing what you were stealing. The line went dead silent. That's impossible, he finally said. It's very possible. And very real. And very much the reason I'm not letting you defraud me out of an $8 million property. He hung up. 3 days later Richard called with an update. The broker is furious. She'd already shown the property to 4 potential buyers and had one couple ready to make an offer. Now she's facing potential lawsuits from them for wasting their time with a fraudulent listing. Is she going after my father? She's threatening to. He forged documents representing himself as authorized to sell property he doesn't own. That's textbook fraud. She's also out thousands in marketing costs and commission time. What about the buyers? The couple who were ready to make an offer? They're livid. They'd already talked to their bank about financing, started planning renovations. Now they're talking about suing your father for intentional misrepresentation. This is a disaster. It gets worse. Your brother posted on Facebook about his upcoming restaurant, funded by family property sale. People congratulated him. Now he looks like an idiot. I dropped my head into my hands. How did it get this bad? Your family assumed they had rights to property they didn't own. They made promises based on money they couldn't access. And they did it all without consulting the actual owner. This is what happens when entitlement meets reality. What do I do now? You have several options. 1. Press charges. Your father committed fraud and forgery. The broker might press charges regardless. 2. Let the civil suits play out. The buyers might sue your father for their wasted time and money. 3. Do nothing legally but cut contact. Make it clear that this behavior won't be tolerated. Can I just make this go away? You could pay off the broker's losses, compensate the buyers, make everyone whole. But Maya, that would be rewarding your family's fraud. It would teach them they can attempt to steal from you without consequences. He was right. I knew he was right. Set up a meeting, I said. With the broker, the buyers, my family, and our attorneys. Let's resolve this face to face. The meeting was scheduled for Saturday at my attorney's conference room. I arrived early, my stomach in knots. The buyers came first. A couple in their 50s, well-dressed, clearly furious. Ms. Reeves. The husband extended his hands stiffly. I'm David Chin. This is my wife Laura. We were very excited about purchasing your property. Until we learned it was never actually for sale. I apologize for the confusion, I said. I had no knowledge of this listing until my property manager informed me. Your father told us it was a family estate being sold to settle finances, Laura said. He seemed very knowledgeable about the property. We had no reason to doubt him. Patricia Walsh, the broker, arrived next. She was a polished woman in her 60s and she looked ready to commit violence. Ms. Reeves. I've been in real estate for 30 years. I have never encountered anything like this. Your father presented documents, new details about the property, seemed completely legitimate. I did my due diligence, but he was very convincing. I understand. And I'm sorry you were dragged into this. Sorry doesn't cover my losses. I spent $15,000 marketing this property. I showed it to 6 potential buyers. I have a reputation in Greenwich that's now damaged because I listed a property I didn't have authority to sell. My family arrived last. Dad, Mom, my brother Jason, and my sister Michelle. They walked in looking defensive and angry. This is unnecessary, Dad said immediately. This could have been settled privately. You tried to sell my house without permission, I said quietly. Private settlement ended when you forged documents. Richard stood. Let's all sit down. We have several issues to resolve. Once everyone was seated, he began. Mr. Reeves, you represented to Ms. Walsh that you had authority to sell property located at 47 Blackstone Drive, Greenwich, Connecticut. Is that correct? It's a family property. That's not what I asked. Did you represent that you had authority to sell? Dad's jaw tightened. Yes. That property is owned solely by your daughter, Maya Reeves. You have no ownership stake, no power of attorney, no legal authority of any kind. Correct. It's complicated. It's not complicated, Richard said flatly. You don't own it. You can't sell it. What you did is called fraud. Patricia spoke up. I want compensation for my losses. $15,000 in marketing, plus $10,000 for my time. I'm also considering a lawsuit for reputational damage. David Chin added, we're considering legal action as well. We made financial decisions based on fraudulent information. We passed on another property because we thought this deal was solid. My mother was crying. This is all a misunderstanding. We thought Maya would be happy to help the family. By selling my property without asking me? I looked at her. You thought I'd be happy about that? Jason leaned forward. Maya, I've already told people about my restaurant. I've made plans. You can't just pull the rug out. I didn't pull any rug. You made plans based on stealing from me. That's your problem. Stealing? It's family property. No, I said firmly. It's my property. I bought it with my money. You have no claim to it whatsoever. Michelle spoke for the first time. We didn't know you were rich. How were we supposed to know? You could have asked. Instead of assuming. Instead of forging documents and trying to sell something that isn't yours. Richard pulled out a folder. I have the deed here. Purchased 3 years ago by Maya Reeves for $7.2 million. Cash payment, no mortgage. Sole owner. No family trust, no co-owners, no complications. He looked at my father. You knew this. You had to have seen the deed to forge the listing documents. Dad's face was red. Fine. Yes. I saw the deed. I knew Maya's name was on it. But she's family, I thought she'd share. Share an $8 million asset without being asked? Richard's voice was ice. That's not sharing. That's theft. The room fell silent. Finally I spoke. Here's what's going to happen. Patricia, I'll compensate you for your documented losses. Marketing in time. I'll also provide a letter explaining the situation wasn't your fault. She nodded slowly. That's acceptable. Mr. and Mrs. Chin, I apologize for your wasted time. I'll cover any costs you incurred. Inspection fees, financing applications, attorney fees for contract review. David looked surprised. That's generous. It's fair. You were victims of my father's fraud. You shouldn't suffer for it. I turned to my family. As for you, consider this your only warning. The Greenwich property is mine. My other properties are mine. My money is mine. If you ever try something like this again, I will press criminal charges without hesitation. Other properties? My mother's voice was faint. How many houses do you own? 6. Plus commercial real estate and various investments. I'm worth about $340 million, Mom. I built a tech company and sold it. I've been financially independent for years. You just never asked. Jason's face had gone white. 300 million? Pretty. 340 million. Give or take. Michelle was staring. And you let us think you were struggling? I never said I was struggling. You assumed. Because I didn't perform wealth the way you expected, you decided I must be failing. And when you saw an opportunity to profit from what you thought were my limited assets, you took it. What happens now? Dad asked quietly. Now, you leave my properties alone. You stop assuming you have rights to my assets. You treat me like an adult with boundaries. And maybe, we can eventually rebuild some kind of relationship. And if we don't? He was challenging me even now. Then I press charges for fraud and forgery. You go to jail. You lose everything. Your choice. I paid Patricia's losses. I covered the Chen's expenses. I made everyone whole except my family. They got nothing. Not money, not access, not forgiveness. 6 months later my mother called. Maya, your father wants to apologize. Can we meet? For what purpose? To talk. To rebuild. To be a family again. A family that respects boundaries? That asks before taking? That doesn't try to sell my property out from under me? Yes. That kind of family. We met for coffee. My father looked older, diminished. I was wrong, he said simply. I thought of the house as a family asset because I couldn't imagine you affording it alone. I didn't ask because I was afraid you'd say no. I forged documents because I was desperate to help your brother. And I'm sorry. Desperation doesn't excuse fraud. I know. But I'm asking for a chance to do better. I studied him. This man who'd raised me, who'd tried to steal from me, who was now asking for forgiveness. One chance, I said finally. You violate my trust again and we're done. Permanently. He nodded, tears in his eyes. A year later we'd rebuilt something fragile and careful. Monthly dinners. Actual conversations about my work. Respect for boundaries. Jason opened his restaurant. Funded by his own savings and a legitimate business loan. Michelle found better paying work and managed her own finances. My parents learned to ask instead of assume. And I kept my 6 properties, my $340 million, and my privacy. As some lessons are expensive. Like learning you can't sell what isn't yours. Even if you're family. Especially if you're family. The Greenwich estate still stands. Beautiful, secure, and entirely mine. With a property manager who knows exactly who owns it. And a family who finally learned to respect that.